Anyway, welcome to episode 11, guys.
Welcome.
Hope you all liked that extra spoopy intro music we had made for especially this time of year.
I'm so obsessed with it. I wish it was my, opening music when I woke up in the morning, that was playing.
I bet our audio engineer could get that made into a sound for you to play on your phone for your alarm clock.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I actually looked into that, how to do that with our original thing, because I thought maybe that'd be a cool thing to offer on Patreon.
Ooh, how would you like that, Patreon? Oh, is it not doable?
No, I think it's doable.
How would you like that, Patreon?
Good call checking, though. That's for sure.
Just rolling right into offering it to people.
You said you can do it, so...
One of those days today.
Yeah, we were recording after work, which we don't do too often, so we might seem a little slap happy.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to go similarly to bowling with the bumpers on versus no bumpers. And let me rephrase, candlepin bowling, which is somehow extremely hard.
Real hard.
And no bumpers is what you're getting tonight.
It's an impossible fucking game.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of gutter balls.
Yeah.
I think is ultimately what's going to happen.
Whatever.
It'll be fine. But
we are taking a break from ADHD topics this week, if you couldn't tell from that intro music. By the way, I'm Katie.
Oh, yeah. I'm Garrett.
And this week's Patreon is Shrimply Pebbles. We know your real name, but that's your Patreon name, so...
And if anybody's familiar with the Rick and Morty episode where there is a situation in which Jerry needs to donate his penis to a alien's heart transplant, you will be familiar with the name Shrimply Pebbles.
Everything you said makes 3,000% sense, so...
Perfect sense. Yeah. Glad everybody's up to speed.
Yeah.
Shrimply.
So anyway, thank you, Shrimply Pibbles, for being a devoted Patreon.
Hearing Katie try and say that in a serious professional way, it gets me every time.
It's the lawyer thing. It's that scene from The Office when he's like, butt liquor, our prices have never been lower.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And Katie can pull it off, and every time I'm like,
how dare you make fun of my family's name? We're a proud family of butt lickers.
Butt liquor, our prices have never been lower. Oh, that was good. That was funny.
But, yeah, so this is episode 11. It comes out the 27th, I think.
I still have September on the calendar, so that's not helpful to anybody. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm pretty sure this comes out October 27th. If I'm wrong, oh well, what are you going to do about it? Fight me! Promise I haven't had anything to drink, guys. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about the history of tarot. Ooh. So first I'm going to do the history of tarot, and then I'm going to discuss on our vacation in the beginning of September, I made PK come with me to Salem, Massachusetts, and we got a couple's psychic reading that included a card reading.
Cool.
So I'm going to go over what happened with that and what the whole vibe was.
Cool.
All that stuff.
Love it.
And then I brought my deck with me, and we can do a spread. What are your thoughts on filming that for Patreon?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. So definitely subscribe to our Patreon if you want to see how the cards fall for Garrett. And
if she's going to get run over by a bus next week.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
They're very specific cards, actually.
There's a bus card. There's a crow card. We know how that goes.
What was the, Silly Villain, Busy Town. It's all that.
Yes.
Throwback to episode 3.
Oh, was that episode 3?
Mm-hmm.
My God, that feels like a million years ago.
I know, because I had to look up what the, that song I sang. the poor working memory.
I thought for sure that was made up.
No, it was real.
100%. She was like, no, it's real. It is. This isn't a gravy train situation.
Or hot dogs.
Or hot dogs. 0 hot dogs.
So yes, What was I saying?
Tarot. History of tarot?
History of Tarot, yeah. So anyway, yeah, so we'll do the reading for Patreon. So make sure that you are subscribed if you want to watch that. I'll make sure that that gets posted this week on Patreon.
And you also get all our, I guess it would be like B-sides, where we have no self-control and very little editing.
Yeah.
So you're getting a lot of off-the-cuff weirdness.
I like it.
It's great. Not dissimilar from our episodes. Less structure.
Less research, really.
No research.
Hardly any research, yeah. So, tarot is actually what we call a game that originated in Italy in the 14th century, which is the 1300s.
Oh my gosh, that's so long ago.
Yes.
Wow.
But it actually just originated as like a regular card game that you'd like play at a party. It wasn't, I thought it was a Romani tradition or some sort of like spiritual tradition, and it isn't. It started as a card game similar to MASH, kind of. Like...
would you be referring to mansion, apartment, or shack?
House, yeah.
House, I forgot. I was like, shack.
Shaquille O'Neal. Mansion, apartment, Shaquille O'Neal.
I would have been way more interested in MASH if Shaquille O'Neal was an option, honestly. Okay, so it was like similar to that. Okay.
Yeah. But somehow it's also... you guys can look up the rules of this game. I'm real bad at learning card games unless somebody is like sitting there taking the time to explain it to me.
I read directions and my brain is absolutely not willing to interpret, remember, or apply any of those rules.
The only time it works is if I'm reading the directions and also teaching somebody else at the same time.
Oh, yeah,
like if we're all learning together, then I can take charge and force myself to be the leader. But otherwise, I am just a lost baby duck wandering around. So anyway, the game was originally called Tarocchi. Trocchi, for those of you who care. And the first decks that we actually still have with the decorated cards that we're thinking of when you think of tarot with like the High Priestess and all that, the earliest deck we have is from 1430.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's really old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Italy though, so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like for Italy it's not old, but like...
Right, yeah.
I'm impressed that, it's still something that's used so regularly.
Yeah. And the first tarot deck was just a regular deck of cards with the standard 4 suits that we're used to, except Italian decks of cards had... So we have diamonds, hearts, clubs, and spades. Italian decks of cards had batons, coins, cups, and swords. But the tarot decks had a 5th suit that was comprised of 22 trionfi, aka trump cards, which were 21 like leader cards basically, and one card called the Fool. Okay. So the Fool isn't really given a number like the other,
like the Joker in a
right?
deck, yeah.
Kind of, but it's actually not the original Joker that we know from like our regular bicycle card decks in America. So I actually have that as a note. That's not the origin of the Joker cards we're used to seeing, FYI.
Skipping ahead, Garrett.
God, you said you can't read.
You know what? You're right. I did say that. Was it to get out of reading something scripted because I sound like a robot? Yes, it was.
You don't sound like a robot. You just yell.
You yell like a robot?
A cheerleader or something.
Oh, boy.
So these suits, especially the coins, cups, swords, and then you usually see wands, and coins is often also referred to as pentacles. So in a modern tarot deck, you'll have the wands, pentacles, cups, and swords as your 4 regular suits, and then you have your 22 trump cards.
Is the pentacles made of tentacles? Sorry. I'll see myself out. Continue.
Not usually, but I'm sure you can find a deck that has that. an ocean life deck. Maybe it comes with like, you know those things where it's like you tip it over and it moves like a cow, but it's just a whale call.
Katie does all the sound effects for it. You do that great whale.
That's how I really support myself. It's not my day job. I just
my whale calls.
Freelance whale calls for novelty toys.
Oh, boy.
So, anyway, just like our regular decks of cards, those 4 original suits have your 2 through 10, or ace through 10,
mm-hmm.
and then you have a jack, queen, king.
Yeah, jack, queen, king.
Oh, and then the ace. So 2 through 10, ace. And then,
Yeah.
But they called it a page, knight, queen, king.
Oh, okay.
So tarot decks, though, became more prolific throughout Northern Europe, mostly France and Switzerland to start, thanks to the Italian Wars. Though the most common tarot deck used in those regions was the Tarot of Marseille, which originated in Milan, Italy. And then when the cards migrated to France and the game migrated to France, because this is still just the card game. This is not fortune telling.
Fortunes, right.
The cards. Okay. That's where the name tarot took over because that was the French word for tarocchi as the card game.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So tarot decks weren't actually used for what they call cartomancy, or card readings, until about 1750 or the late 1700s, based on an anonymous manuscript of that time. The first tarot deck that we think of as today, sold for specifically occult purposes, was made in 1789, and that tracks because any time throughout human history, especially modern human history, where you see a significant amount of conflict, particularly in the form of wars or extreme famines, you also see a massive rise in spiritualism, whether it's Christianity or cartomancy or whatever else. We see it after the American Civil War. We see it after World War I and II. The same thing happens throughout time. And historians have posited that it's because so many people die that the people who are surviving are trying to get in touch with their dead friends and relatives. Yeah.
That's sad.
So they're
probably also looking for comfort too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of part of that grieving process, which if you've ever lost somebody close to you, you do kind of go through where you want an answer, you want to know that they're okay.
Or the community aspect probably of a church setting.
For sure.
Probably also helpful to people.
Yeah. And just that kind of like reassurance, especially if they were, a grandparent or a parent and they were that safe space for you. And now they're gone, you kind of want that last send off where you can say that last thing to them or know that they're okay or that they're with you or whatever the hell. So anyway, but for 1789, the American Revolution was just wrapping up. We said, fuck you, King George.
Yep.
And then the French Revolution was just getting started. So sorry, Marie Antoinette.
Time to behead some peeps.
Yeah, they were big mad about cake.
Yes.
/
And real into guillotines.
Yeah. But they pronounce it guillotine.
Guillotine.
Yeah.
Croissant.
Right. So those trump cards are what we call today even the major arcana, meaning greater secrets. So those cards are the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, the Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment, the World, and the Fool. The Magician through the world are numbered 1 through 21, and then the Fool doesn't have a designated number, so some people will think of it as the number 0 or the number 22. It really depends on who's reading the cards. Based on what I could find.
Right, because there is some, interpretation involved, right?
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. And then the minor arcana, aka the lesser secrets, consist of the 56 remaining cards that are divided into those 4 suits with 14 cards each, 10 numbered cards, and 4 court cards, which are the king, queen, knight, and page / jack, and the 4 tarot suits, swords, batons, coins, and cups. Modern version, as I said, are wands, swords, pentacles, and cups. The major arcana cards are often used to refer to spiritual matters and important trends in the questioner's life, whereas the minor arcana, each suit has a different purpose.
Okay.
So wands refer to business matters and career ambitions.
Okay.
Cups refer to love. Swords refer to conflict. And coins / pentacles refer to money and material comfort.
Okay.
According to Britannica, the tarot deck should be shuffled by the questioner, and then the fortune teller lays out a few of the cards, either selected at random by the questioner or dealt off the top of the shuffled deck into a spread by the reader. So the meaning of any card can be modified according to whether or not it's upside down in its position in the spread and the meaning of the adjacent cards. But whether you choose to read a different meaning into that card is totally based on whether you want to or not. If you're doing a reading for yourself, like if I was pulling cards for myself, so much of how you read the cards is intuitive, and it's so that meaning of each card can fluctuate depending on like what you're asking of the deck, what you're feeling, what you're going through like in your general life. So if I think I have a conflict, but my 10 of swords is upside down and it's next to, I don't know, the page of wands. So pages, generally, it's like an immature masculine energy, but wands is...
I don't know anybody with immature masculine energy, for the record.
Yeah, it's actually a myth made up by tarot. But just go with me on this hypothetical. So I have this immature male energy relating to business matters and career ambition. So maybe I think that person who I can put that to is blocking me from what I want to do, and that's where the conflict is coming in. But the 10 of swords is upside down, so maybe there isn't as much conflict as I was perceiving there to be.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. So that's why whether you want to read a card as being upside down as relevant to you is totally up to you. And it's up to the questioner too. Like if I'm pulling cards for you, if they mean something different to you, if I'm like, okay, well this card means XYZ according to the booklet and this card means this, okay, fine. But like if to you the card looks upside down and that's significant to you, then that's significant to you and that's what it is. So, which is also kind of goes back to that idea of like, this is not a closed practice. This isn't a specific religious practice for a specific group that by engaging in it, you're treading on grounds that you're not invited to and welcome in necessarily, particularly as a white lady. That was a concern I had.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not above making mistakes, but I for sure wanted to make sure that that was...
Let me avoid all the big ones.
Yeah. The real obvious ones that we all should have learned in the past, like, 5-ish years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to, like, double check on that one.
Yeah.
Turns out it's fine.
Google says it's fine, it's fine.
Yeah, I had several sources tell me that it was okay. I definitely double checked it.
But I think that's an important thought and question to ask.
Yeah, particularly because it is a spiritual practice, I think. Certainly a witchy practice. So some people also pull a representative card. So, for example, let's say I'm having like a fight with my mom. I'm not, as of this recording anyway.
There's time.
But to use that as an example, so I'll go through the deck and find a card that I think represents her. So like the Queen of Swords, because I'm fighting with her. And she's being a real booger.
Queen.
Yeah. So I'll pull that out, and part of the reason for doing that could be to remove that from the deck so then that doesn't come up in your spread.
Okay.
But it's sort of like, if I'm not doing this reading in front of my mother, it's almost like that card is holding the space that my mother would hold. So then those cards that I end up pulling refer to
Like
that.
both of you.
Yeah, so it kind of creates a lens that you can further analyze the cards through, if that's something you want to do. But either way, based on what I've learned, like you said, it is very intuitive. The practice grows with you. So as you get to know your deck more, as you get to know yourself more.
When you really get that, like, big deck energy going.
Yeah, when you have that big deck all up in your pocket, just gray sweatpants season.
Yep.
Decks.
Just warm.
Everywhere.
Warm deck.
Yeah, like everybody knows when your deck is here to party.
And, like, you really have to handle the deck a lot to get to know the deck.
That's true.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful because otherwise you'll go blind.
Something about your hand or your palm becoming furry. I
thought it just got glued to it. So then everybody knew. Like it fuses.
Well, we grossed ourselves out. Took that on a little ride and grossed ourselves out.
You're welcome.
Just can't resist a big deck.
Who can't, frankly? So I actually did get when we were in Salem, I had heard this, which was one of the reasons that I got this for you, but I got you a tarot deck because I had heard that your first tarot deck was supposed to be gifted to you.
Cute! I love that.
It's not true. Oh. But it was something I had heard, and I don't know where it started. Nobody seems to know. I listened to a bunch of different podcasts about it.
It's a thing now.
Yeah, so anyway, if you bought yourself your own tarot deck, it doesn't mean that it's any less valuable to you or whatever. When Garrett buys herself a tarot deck, it is cursed.
It is.
But everybody else, you guys are fine.
You're fine.
Yeah. But, so I had heard that before, that your first tarot deck shouldn't be your own. But then I had also heard, like, that doesn't make any sense. Because then
But at that point, I had already acted on it, so.
Well, I saw yours, and then the cat one was right next to it. So I was like, okay, I'll get the cat one.
For the record, I have a tarot deck, actually, that's sitting right there, that is crow-themed, which I squawked when I saw it. I was so excited. And we started calling it the Crotaro.
Crotaro!
Crotaro! Cat tarot is a little less, doesn't flow as well, but
yeah, that's
still cute.
Cataro.
Cataro.
But my problem with that deck, I tried using it, and I just don't know tarot enough to be able to understand the imagery.
Oh, you don't know the big deck well enough.
Correct.
To,
right,
really work the big deck.
Yes. And the classic deck that, like, the image that you're picturing in your head when you think of a tarot deck, that's called the Rider-Waite deck, and it's the Rider was the publishing company, Waite was the guy who, like, designed it.
Oh, okay.
In the early 1900s, and it's still the most popular deck of all time.
The cards are really beautiful. Like
they're very well done, and they come in so many different sizes, so it's very recommended for people who are just learning, because you can get a smaller deck if you just want it to be like the size of regular playing cards.
Yeah, like if you prefer smaller decks.
If you have small hands, and you don't want to be overwhelmed by a big deck energy.
I feel bad for being stuck in the shtick, but I'm also really enjoying it, so I'm just gonna...
This is a nice little peek into what it was like to take Garrett golfing for the first time, because boy did she like saying, thanks for my ball bag and my tea bag.
It'll never stop.
Swing the shaft.
You gotta use 2 hands to hold the shaft.
Yeah, you need 2 hands and a firm grip.
Which also will come in handy when you have to manage a big deck. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can have a small deck.
So the rider weight deck comes in a lot of sizes. It's very readily available and very inexpensive. Mm-hmm. The deck, like the cat tarot deck that I got, is much more, I think, just to look pretty.
Goofy. Yeah.
I was trying to like read the booklet and like see what the cards meant because it's my first tarot deck. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't make sense. And I was so confused also because I didn't have that baseline rider weight deck to go off of. So I was like, I don't even know what the fuck they're trying to depict here. Like, this makes literally zero sense. And the little booklet that came with it wasn't, like, some of them were fine. Like, it described, like one of them, it was like a depiction of Michael Katzen. And it's like a cat dressed like Michael Jackson. Like, so like I could figure out which card that was, but
you're like, I gotta figure this whole big deck out, and I'm just pussyfooting around here trying to figure it out. This Cataro big deck. I'm done. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. I could tell.
When I thought of the pussyfoot, and I'm like, I have to find it.
That's
has to
fair.
work.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Thank you. For
So I was very overwhelmed. So I got this other deck called the Modern Witch Tarot Deck by Lisa Sterle, Sterle, and it makes much more sense.
Turns out it works better.
But I was listening to a couple different podcasts by practicing witches, actually, and they made the distinction that there are plenty of tarot decks that are strictly like for collectors and to...
Oh, cute. Okay.
So like if you connect with the artwork, cool. Mm-hmm. But if you're just learning tarot, they're basically useless because you don't know what those cards mean anyway. So it's kind of like you're trying to learn a new language without even knowing like the like you don't have the translation dictionary.
Right. So it's like a novelty item.
Right.
Yeah.
So
still cute though. Love
yours
it.
might be better than mine.
Pretty pumped about it. Also, if it's like more of a novelty thing, I might frame one of them.
Yeah, that's actually super common. So that original deck from the 1430s, half of it is at the library at Yale, I think, in their like original and rare manuscript section or whatever the fuck. And the other half is at the Library of Congress, I think. I don't know why we have it and not Italy, but here we are.
Yeah, well, that tracks with a lot of other things that
it's true.
The U.S.
It's more of like the British Museum sort of thing to do.
Yeah.
But.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I actually I got a print off of like Etsy, and it's the Chariot card, but they did it so that it's AOC is like the centerpiece of it, and I forgot I had it until just this moment.
So it's just like the recording studio.
Sure is. Yep.
I love your little micro shelf that you keep all your memories on for ADHD.
I do have a micro shelf, a teeny shelf.
Yeah, it's from IKEA. It falls apart sometimes.
It does.
Just collapses.
It does. Sometimes one of the screws falls out and it just hangs off the wall, swings, dumps everything. Yeah. That then gets put back up with like a command strip instead of a screw.
Yeah.
So yeah, my shelf just dumps like, several times a day. Dumps, decks.
Yeah.
All those. The dumps and the...
I thought about taking a picture of that painting in your bathroom, by the way, about pooping on people.
Oh, yeah, we have a...
we seem to talk about defecating a lot.
We do talk about poop a lot. We did joke about it being a poop cast. Yeah, we have a framed picture in our bathroom. It's a painting of a pigeon. And it's supposed to be like the pigeon sitting and reading while he's pooping. And the book that he's reading says pooping on people. And it's, I laughed pretty hard when I found it.
Yeah.
And immediately bought it. Didn't check the price or any parameters about size. I thought it was going to be about a third of the size that it actually is.
Oh, you saw it online?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and ordered it without reading anything. And now I have a very large picture.
It's not that large. It fits the wall nicely.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I for sure, when I have a house someday when I'm grown up, will for sure get something like that. I think it's genius.
I will gift you your pooping on people.
The perfect housewarming gift.
Your pigeon pooping on people painting. I can't believe I've been able to do that and big deck without making a mistake all evening.
Yeah, well.
There's time.
It's not written down, so.
That's a very good point.
So yeah, there's the Rider-Waite deck, and then Aleister Crowley of, Church of Satan fame also designed a deck at some point, which is less popular, probably because he's a little problematic in some ways. The Church of Satan isn't problematic, but, and they do a lot of great work for bodily autonomy rights. So yeah, they actually often are suing state and federal government entities that try to enforce abortion bans or try to ban gender-affirming surgeries and treatments for people.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and they also do a lot of work to try to ban conversion therapy and things like that, because their whole thing is like if you're not hurting anybody else, it's not your business. And the
logic.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just a thing about religious freedom, and they're able to do that because they're a religious organization.
Oh yeah.
So if their religion permits abortion for anyone at any point in the pregnancy, then a law banning abortions at any point for any point in the pregnancy. Liberties. Yeah. Same goes for trans rights and LGBT rights and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. So
we love it.
Yeah, the Church of Satan's great. Aleister Crowley, iffy. Yeah. But in any event, so he also did a deck, but yeah, so the recommendations I've seen have been kind of like, if you're in the market for a tarot deck, like go to some place like Salem or something where they actually sell like an array of them, or look online. I got this one online.
Side note, go to Salem because it's really fun.
It was fun. Yeah. I would like to go back with more of a plan of different things to do.
Yeah, we had no plan when we went, and it was right before Halloween. It was pure chaos. Chaos, yeah.
I mean, we went the first week of September, and it wasn't terrible. I just felt like I felt somehow unprepared for what we could do and where things were.
I was also very unprepared, I guess, which is kind of dumb for like the history aspect. Like there was a lot of like historical homes that you could tour.
Which I didn't realize that you could tour so many of them. Like we went to the witch's house. But that's all we did. And then we walked through one of the smaller cemeteries. And there's clearly some sort of like walking path through the city because there's those lines on the ground.
Yes. I think it's like Boston, like where they have the Freedom Trail or whatever it is. Yeah, I think they've got like a thing that you can follow, like a plan.
Right. And so we just didn't do that.
Yeah, neither did we when we went.
Yeah. And I mean, it also took us like 2 hours to get there from Cape Cod, and then we had to go 2 hours back, and then we were meeting people for dinner. So it wasn't like, yeah.
That's a recipe for me being grumpy. I mean, I never do that, and I never get
I mean, PK just slept in the car on the way back. He was super helpful. But I did see a dog in the liquor store parking lot after we got into town. I was pretty happy about it. It was a golden retriever. So, anyway, if you connect with the artwork in the deck as you see it on the shelf, then that's a good indication. The idea, though, regardless, is kind of having that intuitive connection with the artwork of the deck, because then the idea based on the witches that I've listened to, the practicing witches, is that if you have that initial intuitive reaction to the deck, then you will have a better intuitive experience when using the deck.
That makes sense. Like you're more drawn to it.
Right.
Can you read yourself?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's several different spreads that you can do. One of the really common ones is to do like a 7-day spread. But
so I can use the big deck spread on myself, you mean? Every day?
You can spread yourself with that big deck. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, keep going. Oh, God, I can't stop.
You need your husband to give you some attention, I think.
Oh, God. It's just the funniest thing to me. And you're just giving this really great talk on it, and I just can't help but heckle.
Imagine if I was doing like a PhD dissertation on the history of tarot. And
I can't be in the room. I can't.
Like,
You literally have to ban me.
People invite their friends so
No.
that they can ask like softball questions
No.
and like reiterate
Ban
certain
me.
points, and you'd be like, can you tell me more about your giant deck and how you spread it?
Yeah, I got a question. First of all, how dare you? Second question, can you tell me, as I give you a statement, I have a second question, tell me about the big deck. That's not a question. I'm sorry. Yeah, so long story short, don't invite me to any kind of official setting where you're going to be talking about big decks.
Noted.
Okay. Glad we cleared that up.
I'll just have you officiate my wedding.
Perfect.
You can read a whole script for like an hour.
So many big deck jokes.
It's going to be great. You'll just shout at the crowd.
I'll just scream at people and everybody will be really startled. All your pictures, everybody will look shocked. Like, God, I'm the worst. I am the worst.
The worst.
Worst. With so many O's.
She is the worst.
Oh,
God
man.
bless John Ralphio Saperstein.
Yeah. You can tell this is an after work recording. Woo! So I'm sorry. Yep, Salem. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so we were in Salem, and now is when I tell you about our reading in Salem.
Yeah.
So, I planned this. So, kind of was like a fun little thing to do for what PK thought was our actual anniversary.
I just rolled my eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
No offense, PK, but I rolled my eyes. Sorry.
Yeah, I did try to force him to explain that to my mother, and she was like, no.
You're wrong.
She was like, well, but were you dating anybody else? And he was like, no. She was like, then it's June. What?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we always have counted from our first date.
Right. That's when everybody does it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not dating other people.
Right. Oh, PK.
Yeah, I know.
He's so wrong.
It's a hill he's chosen to die on, and like, whatever.
Yeah.
He did get me a great mug with pictures of my cats on it, though.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's real sweet.
It was very sweet. He is the king of giving me like the best pictures as gifts. But
yeah,
like,
he gives you really cute gifts.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, he's an excellent gift giver.
Yeah. That's a good... No. That's really nice. I'm sorry. Continue. It's just more big deck jokes, so nobody wants it.
See, in my head, I was like, what a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man.
I was going with giving big deck as gifts.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah,
that too.
Actually.
Now that you mention it, yeah.
That is a prerequisite to any anniversary or birthday or holiday, I would say. If you want me to behave.
Otherwise, I'm going to be grumpy.
You gotta calm me down. I don't know.
It's like when we were talking about how sometimes you just have to, like, do something weird to, like, get the weird out.
Yeah, sometimes the weird is sex.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
That's
when it's time for the big deck.
Me in the bedroom with, like, noodle arms.
The tentacles! The tentacle panicles! It's finally back. I've been waiting the whole episode.
Yeah, but I'm the guy at the car lot. That, like,
the wacky inflatable
guy,
arm man. Yeah. That's good, but tentacles.
Yeah.
That's a great visual. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he's going to love it when he hears it.
Yeah.
So you would be like Squidward in that scenario.
Yes.
Tentacles.
But I don't play clarinet. I play big decks.
And the oboe.
Oboe? Oh, no.
Did you just make that up, or is that a thing? I just assumed that was from something. I was like, oh, that's funny.
I mean, it might be from something, but I'm pretty sure I invented it because I'm a genius.
Copyrighted. Try me, Disney. We're going to Disney again this week, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can continue with your beautiful.
You're a veterinarian. They could probably hire you to work
That's
at their
right. I am
safari
a fox
thing.
doctor, so this is gonna look like Charlie being a bird lawyer.
That's true. You know about fox law and various other doctorings.
Oh God. I'm an expert in bird law. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm a fox doctor. I'm an expert in fox medicine, I guess.
You know, I'm going to have to add that What Does the Fox Say song to our fucking playlist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do have to add that. Sorry, guys. Sorry in advance. One's going to be real annoying. You're welcome.
Yeah. But there's also the What a Man song.
Oh, yeah, we got to add that one, too. Yeah.
So we go to Salem, and I had found a psychic on, like, salem.org or whatever the hell they're...
Allfoxes.com. Yeah.
Salem Foxes Meet. .com.
Orgasm. / It's
like in one of the Austin Powers where he was like www.zipit.com.org.ca.us. Keeps adding it on. 1999 was a wild year.
It was.
In any event, so we get to Salem, and I had looked up different psychics on their website. So they're through, like, the city government. They had this whole, like, Visiting Salem website.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Different things to do, attractions, whatever. And they also had these psychics on there. So, found this one place that had various psychics. And basically, like, I could schedule an appointment online.
Oh, dream scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had...
I feel like you'd only talk to very strange people if you're calling over the phone.
Yes. And I also didn't want to feel, like, especially pressured to book right away.
Yes.
But then I know that if... Going back to rejection sensitivity. If I called and was like, okay, let me just, like, think about it and call you back, or, like, look at my schedule or whatever, then I'd feel too embarrassed to call them back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd have to find a different place.
Like, now I gotta start over.
Yeah, I know the kind of person I am. What anxiety.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So anyway, I could book online. And so they were, like, pre-vetted through the city of Salem. And her name was Jennifer. And she was great. It was, like, very COVID safe. There was, like, a big plexiglass divider between us. Mm-hmm. So we did not shuffle the decks. We did a couples reading. Mm-hmm. PK for sure thought that I was joking when I told him I booked it initially.
He was like, that's a good one. LOL.
Yeah, he was like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I've never been to Salem, so I thought it'd be cool. And he was like,
oh.
What day?
Which day is that again?
So, yeah. Anyway, he found out. So anyway, we go there. It's the two of us. We're kind of in this, like, cubby that has this curtain that's blocking us off from the rest of the store, because we were in this, like, witchy store.
Yeah. Because I know there was a lot of shops that had signs that they did, like, readings.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we go into her little cubby, and there's this, like, we're kind of sitting at, like, an elementary school desk size table. Like, it was
I'm sure
rather small.
PK loved that.
He for sure, I think, tolerated the entire experience. He was so skeptical, refused to give this woman any inkling of information about him.
She's like, you said your name is Patrick, right? And he's like, yeah, nice try. I see what you're doing.
Keep your secrets. So, yeah, he like, didn't move his face at all. Like, every so often, she'd say something, and I'd, like, look over to him, and he would not move. Like, he wouldn't acknowledge me. It was like he was being interrogated by the cops.
I love this. Oh, I love the vastly different approaches. You're, like, super excited, and he's like, absolutely not.
Also, like, Patrick, like, he's the most, like, affable person, and he's just sitting there, like,
I love it.
I'd rather have my proctologist give me a little check rather than, like, check my prostate, see what's going on, then sit through this.
Yep, this
But
sucks.
I have to, because I told my girlfriend that this is our anniversary date.
Yep. See, if he hadn't said it was your anniversary,
I wouldn't have thought to plan
you wouldn't have
something
had to
extra
do it.
special. Yeah.
Right, yeah, it's his own fault ultimately.
Yeah, I would have taken
Sorry,
you for our anniversary for the podcast.
Yeah, we would have had to go get a couples reading.
Yeah.
And then what?
Right. So, how she did it for the couples reading is that she would do, like, a reading in general for me, one for PK, us together, and then we could each ask an individual question, and then together we could ask a question about our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So before we got there, I said to PK, like, oh, do you think you know what you're going to ask the psychic? And he was like, no. And was obviously
I'm gonna ask her, how dare she?
Fully stumped when she was like, okay, so like you're ready to ask me a question. And he was like, panicked. But also refused to show that he was panicked because she can't know
sweating.
His secrets.
Just profusely sweating. Like,
is it Jordan Peele, that gif?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was PK.
Is the sweat pouring off him?
So, yeah, so I asked, because I have that promotional exam coming up, I asked, like, how that was going, and she was like, I don't know why you're worried about this. And I was like, well, I'm not worried, but okay.
I didn't say I was worried. Yeah. I just asked.
Right, like, I needed a question, and that was just about me and not about our relationship.
I mean, God, I thought it was Ask Me Anything, but whatever.
AMA my ass.
I'm reporting you.
So she was like, no, she's like, I don't know why you're worried. Like, it looks like you're doing really, really well here, and you're going to do fine on this. It looks like you're going to get everything you want out of your career, but I am seeing that this isn't, like, necessarily fully fulfilling you, particularly creatively. And I was like, okay, like, my regular
You went, shut your butt.
And so...
yes. Boy.
And so I was like, okay. And then she said something. She's like, so I don't know, like, whatever you need to do to, like, really find, like, a creative outlet. And so in my head, I was like, oh, fuck, I should have asked about the podcast.
Your shelf had fallen off the wall.
Yeah, I panicked swinging. Because I was so impressed.
She asked you both a question. You both just blanking, sweating, don't know what to say.
So I was like, oh, shit. And so I get, like, she heard that. And so she was like, okay, well, do you want to ask another question? I was like...
That's my favorite part. Do you have a second question?
She was very sweet. She's, like, kind of our age, maybe, like, mid-20s, like, maybe not too much younger than us. Mm-hmm. And so, and she also mentioned that she has ADHD.
Oh.
I know. So I was like, I feel you.
She's going to listen to this podcast and be like, oh, my God, I remember who this is.
Yeah, she's going to be like, my name was Jessica.
How dare you?
I'm going to get a comment on our Instagram. 3-star review on Apple Podcasts. Yeah, they're real bad at remembering names. Well, lady, you know I have ADHD.
What do you want me to tell you? My working memory. Didn't you hear about the shelf? It's tiny.
Yeah, it is microscopic. It's barely held together. It's got like a single bobby pin.
I can only fit my small deck on it. I can't fit my big deck.
Oh my God. And so I asked, okay, so I have a podcast, you know, how is that going? Like, will that be successful? Mm-hmm. And so she pulls it, and her cards were not labeled with the names of the cards. Okay. So I don't know. I think it was
the money bags card.
I think it was a trump card, and I think it was the High Priestess that she pulled, but she was like, this is like the best card in my deck. She's like, this is clearly going to be like super fulfilling to you. You're going to hit all the boxes where you're intellectually stimulated and you're creatively stimulated. But she also pulled the Fool card. And so...
Okay, rude.
Right. So I was like, she's like, this is really going to take off. She's like, you know, just focus on your...
Just focus. Yeah. Period.
That's it. So she goes, you know, just focus on, you know, continuing to make your podcast and your social media and build up that social media presence, and the numbers that you're hoping for will follow. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, but the Fool, because that one was labeled. I was like, is the Fool a problem? And she was like, no, that just means like, don't expect something to happen overnight, and like, don't get discouraged if it takes a while to take off. So stick with it, keep at it, don't neglect your outreach and engaging with people, and it will come. But the fool is still a successful person.
In the right context.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no,
That's
I was super excited. So I was like buzzing when they said that.
Something about emotional dysregulation in there, getting a little bit of positive feedback and really running with it. I don't know what that was about.
I don't appreciate your lies.
Stop telling me things about myself.
So I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And Patrick's sitting there like a gargoyle stuck in one pose.
He's like an Easter Island head. He just like won't move.
Yes.
It's just like eyebrows and nose.
Like she's the T-Rex stalking her in Jurassic Park. And you can't move her else the T-Rex will find you and eat you. So Patrick asked some questions. And then she did a reading for the two of us. And this is where she really lost Patrick. Because
love this.
She was pretty on the ball for everything else. And then she was like, okay, well, it looks like whatever issues you guys might have had, she's like, not to be too TMI, but, and this is all, just to be clear, guys, this is all paraphrasing. I did not record I didn't record this in any way. But she's like, not to be too TMI, but whatever has been kind of like blocking you guys physically from being like intimate with each other for the past year or so, that's going to be getting out of the way. And like I kind of side-eyed Patrick and then
Patrick's head turns really slow and stares at you like, really?
I see him like move almost imperceptibly and towards me a bit, and I was like, okay, I lost him.
Well, it was worth a shot.
Yeah, so for the past year or so, we've had a real tough time having our physical connection. And according to her, we were going to finally get over that. That was going to clear up. And so if you're new to this podcast, if this somehow is the first episode you're listening to or you haven't listened to all of our episodes yet, at this point, Patrick and I had been together for about 14 or 15 months, according to me. According to him, we'd only been together for 12 months.
Again, eye roll.
Yeah. I measure it from our first date. He measures it from when he officially asked me to be his girlfriend. But in any event, so that 1 year of not having a physical connection would have been our whole relationship, which is inaccurate.
Just for the record.
But, yeah, so then the question we asked, because we are kind of slowly making plans to move in together next year, around our actual anniversary, probably.
Like the real one, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like in the royal family, like the queen, like her actual birthday was in April, but they didn't celebrate it until the end of June every year. It's like that.
When you said it's like the royal family, and my brain immediately was like, cousins getting married? What? Are you Irish. About to tell me your
cousins? Yeah, no, we are both Irish, but we're definitely very different sides of Ireland, I think, that we're from. So that's good. It's fine. Probably, also, I'm an O'Brien. Like, we were the lords over there. We weren't. Actually, probably not my family, because we ended up over here, so I was probably some sort of fief.
Some form of peasant. Not really sure what kind, but somewhere in the peasantry family.
Like a classier peasant. Like the kind of... Like, I was the peasant who was, like, in charge of the kitchen. So I bossed other people around.
I was a very well-adjusted peasant in my previous life. I bossed around the other peasants. I love the idea of, like, 500 years ago, it's supposed to be your ancestor, but, like, in a show, and they'll show it, and it's the same actor. Yeah. Just in a different outfit with, like, a little bit of, like, soot on your face, just, like, bossing around other people, and they're like, this fucking lady.
Yeah, they're like, put that arsenic in her chicken pot pie.
Somebody poison her. We're not too many,
too much big deck energy, this one. Get rid of her. And then it's just me and the guillotine being like, oh no.
Head rolling. That's great. What great side quests we're getting in this episode, truly.
So she said that, we had struggled for the last year, and so then we asked about moving in together, because my big concern with doing that is merging our families, and by families I mean pets.
There's a lot of animals.
We have a lot of animals
at play here.
Yeah. Also, apparently, PK was talking to one of his coworkers about that, or his coworkers were like, "Oh, why don't you live together yet?" And he was like, "Well, we've only been together for like a year, so normal people don't move in that fast.
Yep.
Weirdos." But I don't think he actually said that. I think that was me reading into it. Like, you should have told him that's crazy.
That's crazy, right?
I've got commitment issues. Can't move in with me that fast.
I love that you're giving your, like, Reader's Digest version, which we do a lot when we talk about our relationships or relaying something to one another. I'll relay to my spouse my version of your interpretation of what he heard from somebody else. And then I'm getting questions like, well, this doesn't make sense. Clarifying it, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You're getting this like fifth hand, so there's been a lot of editorializing along the way.
Sixth hand if you count the hand between your legs.
That's true. 6. That's a lot of hands.
So many wet high fives.
Or low fives.
Yeah.
Depending on which hand you're getting.
But yeah, so his coworker asked him, which one of you is getting rid of your pets? And yeah, that's what I said. God. Patrick tells me this on the phone, and I was like, none of us, you psychopath! Like, I screamed at him. I was like so upset. I was
Do people do that?
I don't know, I guess.
Oh, God.
I was like, excuse me, but like, I started dating you knowing you had 2 pets. You started dating me knowing I had 2 pets.
Can you imagine not dating somebody strictly because, well, they have a cat, and if we ever move in together, they're, what are we going to do?
Like, I can understand making that choice, but like, that's the choice you make on like, while you're still talking on the app.
Somebody sick Sarah McLachlan on this man, because what? Who says that?
I don't know. I was like, I can't even imagine. Like, I could maybe give my female cat to my mom because my mom is obsessed with that cat.
Yes.
But
ultimately, her biggest concern...
Terrible.
Her, meaning the cat.
Yeah.
The cat's biggest concern is just flashing her butthole at somebody. So she's not going to be picky who that is.
She needs to be able to climb over you wherever you are.
Yeah.
And especially if you're on the phone or in the middle of a conversation in person. Yes.
Yes. Or video chatting also.
Yes. Yeah. Sophie... Oh, God, she's
desperate need to flash b-hole.
Yeah. So, whereas my concern is just that I want to make sure, because PK has a dog and a cat, that my cats still know that I love them, because the dog will for sure not let them on the bed at night.
And will demand attention.
Yes. And is much bigger than the cats.
Yes.
Yeah, the dog is a lab pit bull mix, so it's a 40-pound dog, and my cats together weigh 25 pounds. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would be concerned.
But they do have sharper claws.
Yep.
And, so that's my only, that's just my concern, is, that transition of getting everybody used to each other.
That's stressful.
And, yeah, right, exactly. And it is very much a problem for future Katie, 8 months from now.
Yes.
It's not something my therapist continues to remind me that I don't need to worry about right now.
But...
And
just
yet
a thought.
do.
What if I do?
And yet I ask a psychic in Salem about it. So anyway.
I love the thought of your therapist hearing this and being like, Jesus Christ, Katie, we've been over this. You're like, I know, but I had to ask the psychic. What am I going to do? Not ask the psychic?
I mean, you're there. Happen? You got to ask the questions. So, yeah. So basically, and then the psychic was a little bit wrong again in that she said that the male energy... quote, probably from a dog, will be the most disturbed.
Disturbed was the word.
I don't know if that was the word, but disrupted or whatever by the move.
Oh, okay.
But that they'll get used to it, whatever. And while I believe, first of all, there's only one male energy other than PK, which is my male cat. And I believe he will be very unhappy with the change.
Disturbed, yes, would be the word.
Yes, he would be disturbed.
He will be disturbed.
But he would not, she said something to the effect that made it sound like he would lash out or something. And that's not what he would do. Like, he'll just hide, and, like, you just won't see him for days.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, in Wedding Crashers, that kid Todd who, like, paints pictures, and he's like,
would that make you love
me? Running away. Yes, that's what I'm picturing. Yeah. Bringing other cats here and fleeing.
I made you this painting. It's sexual and violent.
Oh my god. Oh, that was really good. I couldn't remember what it was that he said, but yeah, that was...
Let's play tummy sticks.
Sexual and violent. Oh, A+.
Yeah, so that's Cole.
Yep.
So she was a little bit off on that too, and because if anybody was gonna make their opinions on this known, it'd be my female cat. As you already heard, she's very mouthy. But yeah, all in all, it was like a fun experience. There was nothing bad about it. Like, we got the tower card a lot, and yeah, I have no complaints. I also got that one card where she was like, "This is the best card in my deck." I kept getting that one, which I thought was a good sign. Yeah. And yeah, no, it was a fun experience. I'm glad we did it. I would for sure do it again too, because it was just something to do.
I feel like maybe once I had it done, like when I was a teenager. I might have had one tarot reading done.
Oh, cool.
I've had like a psychic reading, but I haven't had like I think maybe once at the most. The tarot.
Yeah, no, I didn't see any problem with it, frankly. I thought it was, certainly a fun thing to do when you're in Salem or whatever, but also, certainly something that I would do again and be more prepared the next time, I think, with like more specific questions or,
not bringing your boyfriend because he won't like it.
Yeah, I'll bring you.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the boys can go gallivant around Salem elsewhere. They can go to a horror museum or something. But yeah, no, it was a good time. I didn't have any problem whatsoever with it, really.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, that was the history of tarot.
That was cool. I like that. I had no idea that it was like that old.
Yeah.
And all that
I really didn't know. I thought it was going to be older, but I also thought it was going to be like a religious practice. So when I started researching, because I had said to you, like, I want to make sure I do it right because it's a spiritual thing.
Right.
I felt a lot better about it knowing that it literally started from like a game like Bridge.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I also didn't think it would be Italian. You're right.
Yeah.
That was not what I assumed. I figured like Eastern European or...
Yes. Yeah, same.
Like that. Yeah.
Again, like it's the idea that it comes from like the Romani or something. Yeah. Which my understanding is that the Romani do have like divination and like
other similar types of practices.
Right. But it's not tarot. Even if they do use tarot, they're
that's not the origin story of the tarot.
Yeah, their cultural, historic practices are not from tarot.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, make sure to tune into our Patreon to check out me finding out from a big deck that I'm about to get hit by a bus. Make sure to follow us on all your social media platforms. We are now on Twitter. Very exciting.
Do you know our handle?
Very terrifying. Ankle High Pod. I got
Good
it.
job.
First try. I also will have it be known I have recently, for the first time, guessed the episode name correctly in our weekly Instagram quiz.
Oh yeah, I don't
First time for everything.
I name the episodes. Garrett edits them, and then I name them.
Yes. It's kind of, it is kind of cool, like, when you think about the chain of how the episode evolves, and we each kind of hand it off to each other, and there's things that the other one doesn't know. It's almost like little surprises every week.
Yes. It is fun. It's that little extra dopamine hit that we get to gift each other.
Well, and that's why we like it, turns out. Didn't occur to me until you just said that.
I love doing the quizzes each week for what
I love it. When that quiz comes up, I'm like so pumped, and I guess it wrong every time. I guess it, and then I'll be like, did I get it right? No. So I finally got it right.
Yeah, you did. Although you did pick the wrong answer. You officially selected, you filled in the wrong bubble on your Scantron.
Yeah, I was holding my phone. I held the screen for a second to read the options and voted. And I had a quick message. I was like, okay, that's not my actual vote.
I wanted it to be this one.
This is an instance of actual voter fraud. Something went awry.
Call your local elected officials to complain about the bar's ankle high.
Better report this. Voter fraud. So yeah, tune into our Patreon, check that out. We also have our every other week we've got our Dysfunction Junction episodes going up, which are real wild.
Yeah, if you have a topic also that you want us to discuss on Patreon, let us know. There's a post within Patreon, but you can also just send us a message on there. You can comment on our Instagram or wherever. I maintain all of those pages at the moment anyway. Also the quiz that we were just talking about is only on Instagram. So make sure you're following us on Instagram.
Yeah, in our story. Every week before the episode goes up, Katie does this real sweet poll.
It goes up on Tuesday afternoon usually, so that I can post the results on Wednesday afternoon. And then our episodes come out on
Thursdays.
Which is also how I keep track of my work week now, because I don't know how the week passes so quickly.
It's almost like we have some kind of attention regulation difficulties. And we're chasing dopamine all the time.
Fake news.
Fake news, election fraud. I'm trying to think of another Trumpism, but it just makes me mad, so I won't. So make sure to tune in to Patreon, and next week when we're doing something else, and I don't remember what it is.
Willowbrook.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a real heavy episode after this. So enjoy the giggles this week, because we're not going to have giggles next week.
Yes. So this week and next week are our spoopy season episodes, and then we will be getting back on track with our regularly scheduled programming and other stuff that you guys have suggested to us. So
yeah, we've really gotten a lot of great ideas. We were going to shift gears out of ADHD stuff, but we've got so many other ideas to work with that we're just going to keep rolling with it after we have this little break for some other stuff. And we will see you guys next week.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be here next Thursday with a brand new episode to delight your brain juices. In the meantime, the best way to support us is to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast streaming platform. You can keep up with us during the week on Instagram and Facebook at The Bar is Ankle High, and on Twitter at Ankle High Pod. If you want even more Ankle High hot takes in your life and have a few dollars to spare, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/thebarisankleHigh. We post bonus episodes there full of our karaoke attempts, Am I the Asshole discussions, and wondering how we even managed to survive this long. Patreon subscribers also get exclusive access to our secret Patreon-only Facebook group and get added to our close friends list on Instagram. Until next week, remember to be kind to yourself, because the bar is ankle high.